Hello, everyone. Okay, there is an issue I need to fix right away. I'll just do it. Do it on the run. Okay, sorry, there's something funny going on with my green screen. Excuse me. Bonjour and guten Tag is saying, oops, wait. Okay, there we are. Just a bit of question of just lighting, really. Excuse me. Just this damn last second things. Okay, I might as well do it. Anyway, Super Ghost, how are you doing? There's someone else watching through YouTube. I hope you are doing fabulous at this time. Okay, doing okay, thank you, Mr. Super Ghost. Okay, today what I have for you are Stefan, hello, and Bertil. Of course, what would I do with Bertil? There's no going around. This channel needs Bertil. And plenty more, actually. I have in store some plans as to how to utilize Bertil a bit more regarding what he could do on my channel. Okay. Okay, that is better now. Stefan is completely OP. Would you mind explaining to me what OP means? Original post? Because honestly, I have no idea. Okay. Okay, there's a. Okay. Okay, how are we? I hope your week has been okay so far. I overpowered. He's OP with cuteness. Oh, that he is indeed. Why the fudge monkey do I have all this shit going on with my green screen? Okay. And not okay. I mean, yes, and by the way, just shouting out there, my Patreon. I have had my first patron, That is Flems. Dr. Professor Flems. Hopefully you will show up today. Today on this live stream. If not, too bad. Okay. That way. Okay. Right. There's something funny going on with my green screen, but I really don't care. Really don't care at this point. Okay. And today, my beer is once again Castel. It's a 11% dark Belgian beer. Excellent. Excellent. It's excellent beer. Okay. Let's go to today's topic. I'll just get you a link on the screen, or a rather web page. Okay, there we go. So to get an idea who we are talking about today. Okay. Please. There. Marsha P. Johnson, a trans woman, drag queen, gay. One of the front people in the frontier of Stonewall in and the Greenwich Village uprising that there was in the late 60s and 7 from 1969 onwards. Okay, that's really disturbing me now, that light on green screen issue. Okay. There we have it. Now, okay, but then that up there. Just if there are any comments, questions, etc., you may wish to ask me, please let me know in the chat. And let's get going. Okay, as I said, Marsha P. Johnson, born Malcolm Michaels Jr., and also known as Malcolm Michaels Jr., born August 24th, 1945, just after the war, as the Second World War had ended, and passed away on July 6th, 1992. The way she died, it was ruled, I think originally it was ruled an accident or a suicide. I just, let me check my notes here. Okay. Yes, sorry, the cops ruled it as a suicide. Unfortunately, today, ladies and gentlemen, I will be mentioning suicide, sex work, survival sex, and prostitution in general, self-harm, depression, homelessness. If you are sensitive to these topics, please, I ask you to move to another video and perhaps go and enjoy them a bit more. Okay? Let me get you the chat for myself here, for my second screen, hoping that I actually notice. Okay, okay. I'm sorry, I still suck at this thing, even though I've been doing it for a fucking year. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, so who was Marsha P. Johnson, aka Malcolm Michaels Jr.? She was an activist of the profound sort, of one of the most career-breaking and most instrumental activists when it comes to trans rights and gay rights. She was, as I said, a integral or a part or a prominent figure in the 69 Stonewall riots. Some say she started the riots. She always refused that, saying she never did no such thing. She was among the founding members of Gay Liberation Front, which is an American front of a number of LGBTQ or gay liberation or human rights groups, and then co-founded the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries with Sylvia Rivera, who was her friend. Both Marsha and Sylvia lived a big part of their adult lives on the streets, and that is one reason Marsha took part in what is called survival sex. The survival sex is selling sex or having sex to get some basic commodities like food and clothes and place to stay at. Okay, and they were quite, as I understand it, radical. But I will go into Star and Sylvia Rivera at a later date, due to I can't take both of these ladies on at once. Okay, and I would love to hear your opinion as to which one I should take on first. Sylvia Rivera or STAR, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, which was a group of transvestites back in that day. So Marsha, as I said, born 1945 in New Jersey, which is not that far from New York City, where she spent, after leaving home, she spent there most of her adult life there in New York, and also died there. And as I understand it, she never went. Sylvia for sure says Super Ghost UK. Okay, that would probably be it. I'll hear from others, of course, as well. But she started wearing dresses at the age of 5, but faced harassment, and actually I will mention also sex crimes. So if it's part of what I will talk about today. Johnson later described shortly before her death that she had been the victim of a rape as a boy, as a child, by an older boy. But then when Malcolm Michaels became a bit older, she then became known as Marsha, and his mother, I think it's Alberta. Alberta was her mother. Thought that being a homosexual was like being lower than a dog, which I'm not really surprised of at that time. Yeah, because this Alberta Michaels would have been about the age of my great grandparents, so that's not at that time wouldn't be anything too much. But at some point, Marsha said that her mother didn't even know that there was an LGBTQ plus community. So that could well be an issue or a reason why her mother would say such things. In 1963, and when she would have been 18, she left home to New York, where she spent pretty much her entire adult life until her death at the age of 46. In New York City, when her body was dug up from the river. Okay, she then did all kinds of odd jobs, waiting tables, being a street hustler. That's just basically saying that she worked as a prostitute, a street prostitute. And she initially went on with a name Black Marsha, but when she started doing her drag queen stuff, she went on with Marsha, and getting that and the P paid basically for her. The P came from "pay it no mind," which paid no mind, basically meaning that if someone questions your gender, just pay no mind. She gender expression could have most likely been for her gender non-conforming, but she never explicitly used the word transgender of herself, because one of the reasons being that it wasn't the word transgender wasn't very widely known and widely in use when she was alive, in the sense of it was more of transsexual, and that's something that could be misunderstood even back then. Yeah. Okay. I will go to. I'll come back a bit later to what her work as a drag job. However, she was one of the very few drag queens to start in Stonewall Inn, because the Stonewall Inn didn't always take in women. Typically, they wouldn't allow women or drag queens inside, only gay men, cis gay men. But I've covered what happens in the Stonewall Inn on June 28th, 1969. Riot sparked when clashes with the police. They were transgender sex workers of color who sparked the modern pride movement. But she was there, and she was one of the heads of the initial riots there in New York City, and otherwise, in Stonewall Inn, if you excuse me. Okay. How do you hear me? I hope you're hearing me well. So, what was the star? Just a brief here. What was the star that I mentioned? Yeah, all good, says Super Ghost. Okay, excellent. So, star. Street Transvestites Action Revolutionaries was an organization of street activists who were transvestite, gay, and gender non-conforming, of which the latter would most likely be in the best suited word for Marsha P. Johnson. The Star was a political collective that provided housing and support for homeless LGBT youth, sex workers in Lower Manhattan. And mind you, as I was already said, that Marsha P. Johnson, as well as Sylvia Rivera, were both had trouble finding housing. So basically, what it all started again from, at least in part, with the Stonewall riots. The Christopher Street Liberation Day was one thing where the modern pride movement started, and there was what was called the Star House, which was sort of a housing unit for the transvestite, non-conforming, and gay youth. It's that ended eventually, and they started to shift the focus to achieving recognition to trans individuals within gay society and or the gay liberation movement and in society at large, which then started the change to what we, for the big part, see today. But they weren't the only ones, of course. But she was the pioneer with Sylvia Rivera, okay, and they then went on to they campaigned for Intro 475, which was a local bill which was introduced by another organization to seek protection against sexual orientation discrimination. But that, as I understand it, didn't come into law everywhere in the US until 2013 or something, I think, which is quite late, starting from having taken 40 years. Why does it have to take 40 years? Okay. In 1972, they stopped having meetings. No, not much more demonstrations, etc. They didn't have an official termination date. Rivera marked the Christopher Street Liberation Day Parade, which is the prelude of modern pride parades, as the death of Star, not Death Star, but no. Okay. Then there's something that I'd like. I'll get to the what Rivera did more on her own. That is. Okay. Johnson was organizing and conducting, being an activist in AIDS coalition to something called Act Up AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, which is basic grassroots movement to eradicate the AIDS pandemic. And as I said, she then died prematurely. As I said, she came to New York in 1963, but those odd jobs didn't pay too well, as she was on the streets in or around 1966 and engaged in survival sex work, being shot twice in the late 70s, and some say she was arrested at least 100 times in New York City alone. And it was horrible. She described there being very, very, like, as low as minus 12 degrees Celsius. That's about 10 degrees Fahrenheit for you Yankees. So because New York is still that far up. Okay, what do we have? Okay, Super Ghost saying it's ironic the people that oppressed and discriminated against the LGBTQ plus community kind of gave birth to the movement. Kind of Aristotle said poverty is the parent of revolution and crime, precisely. Yeah, I've that has crossed my mind, really, Ghost. That they the oppressors of the LGBTQ plus companies or community, they've been the best. They've done a big deal to drive on to better or improve many things, because they've driven the queer people to protect themselves, and hence started the progress for the better. By trying to prevent progress, they have started progress by trying to end it, which is quite ironic. It is indeed. Anyway, she was ill. Her health wasn't taking it too well for living in the street for 20 something years. Super Ghost UK says every cloud has a silver lining. It's just a shame people had to suffer because of it. Precisely. At this point, I would like people to like, a thumbs up, a thumbs down, I don't care, and click at the subscription button, and tickle the notification bell. that does not hurt anyone. That makes several people happy. That makes you happy. That makes me happy. That makes Bertil happy.
Aww.
And that makes Stefan happy.
Aww.
Okay? Okay. Let's go on. Of course, it is. I could not find evidence on at least there anything conclusive on whether or not Marsha P. Johnson had HIV or AIDS. It's not known. But she may have, given her what she was up to for most of her. She was engaging in survival sex and prostitution. So living on the survival sex work, living on the street for most of her adult life. There's no reason to doubt or give too much doubt on claims that she may have had HIV at the point by 1992 when her body was discovered floating on the Hudson River in July 6th, which would have been about a week or so after the Pride parades. It's sad. It's really sad that she had to go that way. So, I think it was Sylvia Rivera who then later said that they were supposed to go over the Jordan River together. That they were supposed to go in together. I don't know if it was if it was a suicide pact. I don't know, but it was something along the lines of that they were supposed to go together. But I read it. I can't remember where I read it, but you can look it up on. Anyway, it was deemed as a suicide that she killed herself. But that was by the police, by the New York Police Department. But those who knew Marsha considered it suspicious and claimed that even though Marsha did have psychiatric issues, she wasn't suicidal, but many stated she struggled, that she was struggling mentally, but she wasn't suicidal. But the thing that really surprised me the most when I was looking into this was that in the post-mortem there was a huge gash in the back of her head, which would have such that she couldn't have gotten it. There was no way, and it was man-made, and there was no way she could have hit herself in the head that bad. It could have been. Some say it was a group of thugs. She was raw. There was a robbery gone bad, but we'll never know. It's only in December of 2002, 10 years later, that the NYPD reclassified the cause of death from suicide to undetermined, whatever the hell that means. I don't know. I really don't know. And they've tried. There have been a number of politicians and activists like Mariah Lopez, who actually got the NYPD to reopen in 2012. But I am yet to find whether or not they I'm not I couldn't find anything conclusive on whether or not it was, if anything, really successful. Whether it led anything conclusive, whether it was, if there were any, I'm not sure. I don't think so, but there might not have been any arrests made or anyone prosecuted in this. What is too hard to get, because I think the investigation work was from 1992 was so goddamn sloppy police work, because it was some some gay trans person of color being dug up from the river. So I don't know. There have been monuments for her in time and time again. Documentaries, postmortem, and all kinds of honorary mentions, etc. After postmortem. It's a shame she couldn't get that much respect she deserved during her lifetime. But hey, it's good that she has had it now. Okay. If there are any questions right now regarding Marsha's the topic of Marsha P. Johnson. Okay, do you have any ghosts? Do you have anything you perhaps wish to Super Ghost, America is only just waking up to racial inequality, etc. when it comes to the police. Who knows how different it would have been if she were white. Yes. Okay. Yes, precisely. I think things would be very, very different. I think that light needs to be fixed. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, Super Ghost. I think it would have been very, very different if she were white. And even if she were white, think very much different it would have been if she were white, cis, and straight. White, cis, straight male being dug up from New York, from what is it, Hudson River in 1992. It's possible. There, there would have been plenty of racially, with a big gash on the back of their head. There would have been a bunch of racially motivated arrests by the NYPD at the time. I'm sorry, but you know how it still goes. Unfortunately. Anyway, I think, but she had but in every single picture you see of her, she smiles. She had such a horrendous time living on the street, sex work, survival sex, etc., etc. But each and every single picture I've seen, she smiles. Every single picture. Don't know why, but there we are. I mean, let's take that up. Her expression is either big smile or neutral, so I can't. So. Okay, let's take this. Okay, let's. Okay. Look at that. Smile after smile after smile. Even though there's a Sylvia Rivera being a bit grumpy there. Yeah. Smile after smile after smile. Yeah. There we go. So it's not. Life doesn't always suck, even though for her most of it did. Most of her life did suck. At least in my opinion. So. What do you have any? What is the situation like when it comes to this kind of stuff in UK? Super Ghost. Is there any? I hope it's better than in the in America or many other places. In Finland, the situation is somewhat shall we say bearable. Okay. I mean, I would hope it's good in the UK, but the NHS has quite a backlog of handling the referrals to the trans clinics. Super Ghost says as follows: in the UK, they are a little more aggressive towards hate crimes when it comes to homophobia and transphobia, but still a little too relaxed in my opinion. Yeah, I've mentioned before that that last summer in the summer of 2020, 2020, year ago, we had the first homophobic homicide, which a hate crime, but yet the police still does not acknowledge it as anything else but a fight between two men. It was a trans woman, a sex worker, was stabbed to death. She stumped and she managed to make a few steps toward and reach the terrace of a nearby bar and say, "Help me, help me," and collapsed, died. Police made a announcement, a press release that it was that a man died. A man died in the fight between two drunk men, which was not the case. So if things like this happens by the police, yeah. I haven't heard of other homophobic, transphobic homicides, but I highly doubt that there hasn't been. I think there may have been more than what the stats show, but I can't prove it. I can't prove it in either direction. Okay. And I got two more people watching. I've got one in Twitch and one on YouTube. Anyway, do you have any more comments, questions, or the other two of my viewers? Do you have any questions before I go? Before I go, I would like to remind you to check the links in the description box below. In the description box below of the YouTube stream, there are links to my playlists. There are links to my two Discord servers. There's my email. There's my links to my PayPal and Patreon. And once again, very big thank you to Flems, who is my very first patron. And if there's nothing else from my dear viewers, Ghost UK says it's a little difficult to say. Here they seem a bit too quiet when it comes to homophobic and transphobic attacks. The media is a bit too silent when it comes to those. Well, that is no surprise in most countries, because homophobia is still the norm. Unfortunately, homo and transphobia is still the norm in many places. I'm sorry to say that, but that's how it is. Okay. Before I go, please thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, tickle the notification bell, check my PayPal and Patreon, and the other links below, Patreon, Discord, and playlists. See you next time.